Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Don Maurice, and welcome to Understanding the CFPB Supervisory Highlights Report, brought to you by the Consumer Financial Services blog.
Good afternoon to everyone. We really appreciate you joining us today in discussing both the CFPB supervisory highlights that came out about a week or so ago, and they just title it as Spring 2014, and also to talk about the Consumer Portfolio Services Consent Order, because I think both of those reports provide a lot of information, but that's it's something that we're all going to have to pay attention to.
Okay, why don't you take us into some of what supervisory highlights said about vendor and third-party liability?
Well, that's an excellent segue, Don, for our next slide, because that is exactly what the FTC was talking about in the Consumer Portfolio Services Consent Order. That consent order had a couple areas, but one of the areas was loan servicing.
That's where they're going. I think what the way I'm reading this is that the Bureau, in some instances, is just saying that the making of telephone calls in and of themselves could be,
Clearly.
but I just don't see how that can be, because you make telephone calls every day, and the natural consequence of those actions alone are not abusive.
Well, we consumer-centric approach, which I think that the CFPB certainly is coming from. The tea leaves and the smoke signals indicate to me that the requirements that we know under the FDCPA may be going away. Well, the supervisory highlights say dismissing lawsuits for lack of documentation could be misleading.
But what the supervisory highlights is pointed out is that the PAT rules, pre-authorized transfers, are not being followed.